How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Creators Process. As you know, my name is Jaden. Right next to me, I have Nina. How are we doing today?
Great.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. And so I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me into your home and, taking the time out of your schedule to talk about what you do.
Mi casa es your tu casa.
Oh, well, thank you. No, I really appreciate it. No. And so I guess for the viewers that are watching, tell us, so what do you do with yourself? Like, what is the things that you do in the art community?
Wow, okay, where do I begin? Well, I've been in Australia since 1979. I arrived with my late husband and a baby, and pregnant with a second baby. So visual arts was really not something I ever done before. But my brother is a visual artist, and so I grew up with a very artistic family. Art or making art was really not on the agenda. Like one baby in my arms, one baby in my tummy was not a prospect for anything like that. So for the next 20 years I was raising children. Yeah. Eventually single-handedly, because we got divorced when children were 6 and 7. And so I was just focusing on providing for them.
Yeah.
And prior to that, of course, I'm twice migrant. I was born in Soviet Georgia, where I became a professional gymnast and gymnastic coach. And then we migrated to Israel, where I worked with Olympic team of rhythmic gymnasts. Traveled to World Championship as a coach and a judge. And studied the College of Dance and Physical Education. And so in Georgia and in Israel I found myself performing on the stage, dancing with a group of modern dance or jazz ballet, which I loved, and also was asked to perform solo, which was completely improvised.
Wow.
Which was something that I totally found as the best language to express myself.
Wow.
I loved the choreographed dance, choreographed by someone else, but I also realized that I'm not a choreographer. Not at all. I'm an improviser.
Yeah.
So there is a connection in my future life modeling, I think, because I think life modeling is a lot about improvisation. Then we migrated to Australia, and as I said, there were children, family. So I was in my early 40s when children were already teenagers, and I had a boyfriend at the time who was much younger, and tragically he committed suicide.
My condolences.
Yes, thank you. And so at that point I began to feel the need to express myself. I was a mother, whatever, I had the past in performing gymnastics and dance. And here I am, 41. I'm still a mother, but they're big kids. So things sometimes happen in your life when you just meet someone, sometimes stranger in the street, or someone you hardly know. And in conversation with this young woman, I told her, I really feel I need to use my body to express myself. Because I've done it before, I'm 41 now, I really don't know what to do. What do you think? And she said, why don't you see the photographer we work with? And I said, okay. So she gave me his name. I had no idea about him, what he does. So I rang him up and he said, yeah, come over. So I went into his studio and we sat down, and so there was no any agenda on the table, like why am I here, what am I going to do. And so he told me what he does is the agency of model, fashion models, they send them to him and he takes pictures of fashion models for their portfolio. That's his main job, that's his bread and butter. And I said to him, well, I had a boyfriend last 2.5 years and he committed suicide recently, which really affected me badly. And now I feel I really want to do something creative with my body and I don't know what to do. And he said, what was his name? And I said, Marcus. And he said, Marcus Cheng? And I'm like, I said, well, what do you mean? How did you know him? He said, I was at his parents' house when the police came to inform them that he was found.
Wow.
And this synergy, this connection of totally unexpected, it kind of puts us both in some kind of space of, the sadness. He knew him. He was going out with his childhood friend at the time, this photographer, and that's why he wasn't, because the girl knew his family. And anyway, so the connection was just totally out of this world. And I think we both felt, well, I felt close to him. There was this connection that made it even more tender and vulnerable and whatever it was. He said, well, why don't we just start playing around and see what happens with the camera. And nudity was just something I've never done before. I was never nude in front of a stranger. I was performing on a stage. I loved all that. Here is something completely different. But I think because of that connection, I felt close to him. I felt totally safe and uninhibited. So he prepared his cameras and I had my robe or sarong. I actually never wore robes, but sarong was my thing probably. Anyway, so he put this screen on the wall and off we went. Initially he kind of put me in a Madonna position, like you lie down, whatever. And, and I did that, and then he kind of changed something different, and then I just kept moving. I started moving and he stopped directing me. I think he realized he doesn't have to direct me. He just let me do what I wanted, and he was just jumping around. I wasn't watching him. I wasn't worried about what he was doing. I was totally moving, doing my thing. How long it went for, God only knows. I don't know. So we just kept doing that until we stopped. And that's it. We just had more chats, he get pizza, whatever. And then he rang me a few days later and said, well, I've got some proofs, do you want to come and see them? I said, yes, sure. So I came over, and when I saw them, I thought, can I swear?
Go for it.
No,
go for
okay,
it.
no, okay. I won't, I swear a lot.
It's okay.
Well, I just thought, fuck.
Yeah.
Wow, I was 41, I was mother of 2, and here's this body, and I thought, Jesus Christ. And so anyway, he said, well, if you want, I can make some, because proofs, they're really small.
Yeah.
And, you just mark which prints you want, and I make a few, and I kind of start marking
all of them.
Oh, no, not all of them. I would have all of them, but anyway, so we had a few prints made, and off I went. So I called a friend who was a sculptor, and I said, well, come over, I want to show you something. So he came over, and I said, okay, this is what I've done, and what do I do now? And he said, well, you can do a few things. You can print it as a book or as a calendar, or like a picture and maybe a poem attached.
Oh,
Yeah, which sounded good. Or you can do life modeling. And I laughed. I said, I'm 41. Life modeling, are you joking? That my reaction was at the time. And he said, oh, you'd be surprised, you know. Anyway, so he gave me a long list of his friends in the arts world. And off I went. I started calling them. Hello, I'm Nina, you know, and life modeling, blah, blah. And they said, well, where'd you come from? I said, well, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I started taking these pictures with me. That was my portfolio.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm a dag, you know, people look at me, you know. And I showed them the pictures. They go, whoa, you know, how long can you hold that for? So that's how I got my first job at BCA, sculpture class, first nude model for the students. And the teacher was Elizabeth Preska, or Pressa, whatever, I can't remember how to spell. And of course that was unforgettable. Initially they booked me for 3 weeks, and eventually I was there for, I don't know, 3 months or something. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was, you know, the pose they chose was a killer. I was on my shoulder like this, elevated from the floor. My shoulder was swollen and red and screaming in pain, and it was just, and you know, within the first 2 hours, because I was in the position where I couldn't see them, but they were all around me. There was about 12 maybe or something. I can't remember how many students. But I've learned to recognize their voices, and you know, we talked all the time, and it was magic. It was so beautiful. I had all these sculptures, you know. So that was my first job, and I worked really hard to find work, and eventually that kind of took over from anything I was doing before to earn money. It became my full-time occupation, and someone's recommended to go Life Model Society, so I went for their workshop. And I thought, wow, all these new people.
Got used to all those new people around.
Oh my God. I thought, oh my God, it was also new to me. It was also exciting. So yes, and I became a flavor of the month or whatever. So yes. Yeah, so that's how life modeling began. But I kind of very quickly thought, I started running my own live drawing sessions.
Yeah. What was the name of that one?
I don't think, I can't remember the name, but it was Linden Gallery.
Okay.
I was renting this space, which they don't do now. They don't rent out to other people. They just, yeah. So there were other people there running different sessions. So yeah, and that grew into a very big class, and so that was Wednesday nights for several years, and it was so big the studio became too small. So then I moved to Hawthorne Arts Society in Manningtree Road, which had a bigger studio, so I was there for a very long time. So as I started running sessions, I thought, so what do I do now? I started drawing. What do you do when you're not modeling? And you know, in the class you play music, and I used to make my cookies to bring to the class. And so I started to draw. And as I was modeling, you know, you listen to people in tutored sessions, you listen to teachers. So and I was very curious about what they say, and you begin to learn about drawing process. And I was really getting interested in that. And one day a guy called Godwin Bradbeer rang me, and he booked me for a session at Linden. He was running some classes there for a short time, and then he rang me and he cancelled. I don't know why, something group cancelled or classes cancelled, so he cancelled.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And I thought, well, you know, shit happens, so he cancelled. And then like 2 years later or something like that, he calls me again. He said, oh, Nina, I just rang to apologise. for cancelling you. And I thought, I forgot about that. So
It's like,
and so,
like,
well, what do you
yeah.
want now? Yeah. And he said, well, I'm booked to work at this private school for the day, and I'd like to book you to model there. And I said, yeah, sure. So that's the first time I actually met him.
yeah, it's like
And
no
in his
cancellation.
class. Oh, that was great. All the teachers were in love with him. And so there was food at lunchtime. And the whole day, my ears, I think, were burning. I was listening to him thinking, oh my God, this guy knows about the figure and how to draw the figure. I learned so much in that day, and I thought, I want to learn from this guy, but I never wanted to be at this art school. I think because I was burnt by growing up in Soviets, where I hated the system at school. I just hated it from start to finish. That whole controlling, demanding system, the exams, the tests, I hated that. All of that. Music school, I hated. University, I hated. So I have this allergy to system that demands, that, you know, puts demands on you, and looking for champions, and, you know, me coming from highly competitive sport.
Yeah.
I'm against any competition now, even in art.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like sometimes with competition, it's like it can make you end up losing that passion in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It's also dangerous because, you know, I was actually in the show once, which was a group show, but they also chose the winners, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they put me in the first 5. That was an international show.
Okay.
And I thought, wow. And my friend said to me, Nina, you should put it in your CV. You know, it's like an important achievement. And I thought, yes. And you kind of start having these hopes. And they told they can ruin you.
Oh.
Which they can. And, you know, there was a guy in my class, very young. He was in his early 20s, deeply talented, totally dedicated to art. Totally, and so talented and so intelligent and such a beautiful person, and a lot of people thought he was my son, you know, curly hair, blue eyes, and we were very closely bonded through the whole process. And so he decided to put his work for Dobell Drawing Prize, exhibit, whatever show. So he took it very seriously. He did this beautiful self-portrait of himself, which was absolutely divine. So I framed it and we sent it off, and they sent it back unwrapped.
Okay.
And he got crushed. And then his mother called me and told me he committed suicide. It wasn't just that. There was a preceding psychological problem with him, the childhood trauma that sat with him, and he finally plucked up the courage to put himself out there, and that happened. And since then, whenever young people came to me and tell me they're sending their work, and, you know, they have all the hopes and they feel so hopeful and strong, I always ask them, what's the worst that can happen in that process when you send your work? What's the worst that can happen?
They can deny it.
Yes. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah.
Can you handle, because they put all the hopes on the table and suddenly they get crushed. So.
And I think unfortunately as artists we have had to. I know I've had to learn about sometimes taking rejection.
Yes.
You know, like, because we aren't going to get every single acceptance. You know, but then. I think I was talking to someone else, and it's like, what makes it even better is that when you finally get that acceptance, it feels a lot better. You know what I mean? You feel just like, oh my gosh, I got it. You know what I mean? It just makes it like you feel. Achievement. Yeah, exactly. And then you get to celebrate it. You get to enjoy it, that moment. Because you've worked so hard towards it. But, you know, I'm really sorry about that person as well.
I know, it was a huge loss to the world that, you know, lost. His work was absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Anyway, so I don't want to get into the subject of how they run this competition, the art, they find the winner. I mean, it's not like you jump high or you jump and you can measure this. Art is subjective.
Yes.
Again, it's like someone's trash is others' treasure. This is a similar thing. What people love in art, others feel sick. So, and to choose the winner, to me, it's, I don't know, I feel, anyway, I don't want to talk about that.
No, that's all good. That's all good. That's all good.
The corruption and all that.
But that's all good. So, keep going with your artwork. So,
my artwork, yes.
Talking about your art. So, you said you started...
I started drawing in my sessions.
Yep.
And Godwin, it's a big story with Godwin. So, when he rang me and booked me, and I decided I want to learn from this guy. I'm not going to go to RMIT or VCA or whatever. But I worked out a plan. So, I rang him one day and I said, Godwin, how about I organize a workshop and you just come and do the teaching.
Oh, wow.
And I'll pay you. You just name your price and don't be shy. And so he said, okay. So he rings me next day. I'm not at home. He talks to my daughter and leaves a message. Okay, tell mom that I can do one Sunday a month and I want to be paid. I won't name it. So he named a figure, how much he wanted to be paid an hour. So we decided to do a 3-hour workshop. Mm-hmm. And I'll provide the venue, the group, the artist, the model. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about just in general, what he would be talking about in that session, or maybe he just chooses, we just discuss between us, and I provide everything. He just comes, and according to him, he comes and does his dance.
As you do.
As we started.
As you.
Yes, 10 years these workshops were running. 10 years. And I was always looking for interesting venues, which I found amazing venues in town. One of them was the Stables in Richmond. Mm. Which was an amazing venue. But anyway, there are venues, I think I limited the class eventually to 18. And these workshops were really popular. People would look for me because they heard the rumor that I was running workshops with Godwin. Initially, sorry Godwin, a lot of people didn't know who's Godwin. Who's Godwin?
Oh no.
And, about Godwin, it's funny because someone told me he walked into a class of new students and he introduced himself like this. My name begins with God and ends with beer. Godwin Bread Beer.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
I know, I love that too. He's so good. He knows how to speak. He knows how to move. He stands like Mick Jagger, and we both love Mick Jagger. And he often uses Mick Jagger as, the punky arrogance and blah, blah. And Godwin has amazing dynamics, slim, wiry, and very deeply intelligent, intellectual person. And he's very dedicated to art. And when he's teaching, it's amazing. Wow. So I've learned a lot from him.
Sounds like an incredible man.
Absolutely, yes.
That's amazing.
So, and I think, as my work changed, I'll show you some example over the last 30 years actually, so that I'm drawing the figure. Sometimes I think I can close my eyes and just go
and point it out.
Yeah. So he's been a big part of this Melbourne community with these workshops. And then after 10 years, we moved on and we decided to take a break. The break's still there. We kind of haven't done anything since. But people are looking out for him and hiring him to do the workshop here and there, or a series of workshops. So I'm happy to see that's happening. And he moved on in his life and he's no longer teaching at RMIT, which is good. He kind of retired from his job and he does his art, which is fantastic. And more time to do your art. You know, a lot of artists struggle financially, so they have to get a job to support their art, and sometimes they can only do their art once a week, if lucky. Sometimes they don't have time for that, particularly if you have, you know, family to support, or even without family, life is so expensive. I've learned, I think, most of the figure drawing from Godwin, and then someone told me that there is a guy, he's the best teacher in the world, and he runs a school, New York Studio School in New York, and he gets kind of headhunted in different places in the world to run what he calls a drawing marathon for 10 days.
Whoa.
And Adelaide School of Art, they kind of hosted these marathons.
Okay.
And I heard of that, and people even tell me, because they knew I'm running workshops with Godwin, why don't you bring Graham Nixon to Melbourne?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I found him in New York. I emailed him, and he said, I'm very honored to be asked, but it's in competition with Adelaide, so I can't do Melbourne. It's the same country. And then I thought, okay, so I signed up for the next marathon in Adelaide, which that year was drawing and painting marathon for 10 days with Graham Nixon. And my God, people actually say 10 days with Graham Nixon is worth 3 years of art school. He's an absolute genius. And when I came back, literally, I sometimes listened to some teachers thinking, oh my God, they have no idea what they're talking about. Anyway, so sometimes I would say something, you know, a model. During the break, they would talk about something, and I would make a comment, and they kind of look at me, wow. And then I had the reputation, so I was asked to teach at NGE.
Wow.
A group of professional artists.
That's incredible.
Yeah, anyway, bragging. So, artwork, Initially, actually interesting, I don't have a sample on me, but I have it somewhere. I started drawing on just a pad, and I would fit the full figure. I could never do that now.
Yeah.
It's all like a lens in my camera. Zooms. And I'm thinking, why can't I do the full figure? I just can't do it anymore. And I'm
just keep zooming.
I keep zooming. I don't care. I'm not even trying to fit the whole figure. In fact, the bigger the paper, the bigger the scale. So there's an example. That's how can you see it?
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible piece.
Oh, thank you.
It's absolutely beautiful, like in your recent gallery exhibition. Yeah, I saw it. There's just so much power and emotion in the pose, and just the lighting, just absolutely amazing. So congratulations on that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Whoever knows Godwin, they would see the influence of Godwin about how you put light. But anyway, so I used to love doing faces, or head rather, not necessarily the face. I think one of my better drawings is actually of the back of the neck.
Okay.
Yeah, it was big work, and it was sold twice. But anyway, it's a long story, I won't get into that. It's with my friends now, so I can go and visit and say, oh, hello, neck. It was the neck of my then boyfriend, and also very strong. It's just a charcoal. This one is, I think it's pastel and charcoal and...
Yes, no, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, but sometimes, I don't have it here, but sometimes I would use a razor to create, you know, just to find the light. I would erase or scratch with my nails.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I actually...
And work with what you have.
Oh,
right? We have 10 fingers, so why not?
Yes, and I found this almost like sculpture. You kind of carve into it with your nails, you know, like lips and eyelashes. So this is tonal work, which I did for 20 years, basically.
Wow.
Part of the figure or face or whatever. So that's how I used to work, and I loved. And then I had injury on my finger, So the doctors forbade me to wet that finger. It had to be totally dry in order to heal, which was real bastard. I'm a right-handed.
Oh no.
It was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
But that actually, and synergy, you know how things happen. This Japanese girl that stayed with me at that time, she knew I was an artist, so she brought me, looked like a texture, and it was a Japanese ink brush.
Oh, that's nice.
And I started working with that because clean, I don't have to dirty it, because I used to rub, drawing, just rub into it and
Just go right
blood would come out of my fingers.
Oh, no.
I know, and then you have to wash your hands like 100 times a day. So Japanese ink brush, it was just so dainty and so gentle, and so it's like you put the line, that's it. You can't rub it out, you can't rub it off. That was completely different way of approaching drawing. So, and that led me to linear work, which
beautiful.
Completely, it's totally, I mean, this was probably later work in line.
Yeah. Wow.
And I use different mediums. So initially Japanese ink brush, but they're all gone, they're all sold. So this is sometimes graphite pencil or charcoal pencil, which I loved sometimes just to kind of give it a bit of a rub and show a bit of a tone. I'm not sure what's this one. I totally began to enjoy the linear work and small work, which was easy to handle, and organized some group shows with my group, a few of them. I met this guy called Victor with black tight curls going like up in the air like this, and I thought, he ain't Russian, this guy, and he was running this place called For Diverse in St Kilda. Big space on top floor and big windows, beautiful, and I was framing a show for a photographer at the time. That's how I met him. And then when he met me, he said, I know you. And when you model for a long time, by then I wasn't modeling, but you go to a nightclub or somewhere and some people say, I know you, and I thought, so how do you know me? And he said, I came to your life drawing at Linden a couple of years ago. And I said, why didn't you come back? Anyway, so we, and then eventually he said, Nina, how would you feel about having a solo show here?
Wow.
I said, I've never had a solo show. I've had group shows, but when? He said, in 3 weeks. I said, you're joking.
Say what?
Say what? Like 25 years of drawing. I had a pile of drawing like this. And I said, gee, I never had a solo show. He said, come on.
I was like, come on, that's
it was
that's
amazing.
exciting.
It was an exciting day. It was an exciting night. And he said to me on the day of the opening, he said, how about we do live drawing during the opening? I said, no, I don't want to, take away from the show. Yeah. And he said, fair enough, the show from 6 to 8 or whatever, we do drawing later, and whoever wants to stay, I provide the models. He had some, he was Venezuelan, so he had all his Hispanic friends that he model as a couple and solo. And people were crazy, they just sat in this corner of the gallery, and the models were modeling and they were drawing. And then some work was framed on the wall, a lot of charcoal on them, and it was like already we had dancing, and it was St Kilda Festival on the day, and I just rubbed my fingers on one of the drawings and put lines on my face.
Ready for action.
And Victor, I said, come on! And they did the same, and I said, you're wearing my art!
I love that, interacting with your artwork on another level.
So that was my first show, which was amazing. And then it was a kind of a quiet time. A lot happened, which I have a long story, but then I can't get into that. And then recently I had another show. I just thought, lockdown. I struggled with my drawing a lot, actually, last 2 years.
Oh, yeah,
I thought I can't produce the work to the level I used to. What's wrong with me? I literally struggled a lot. Even still, I struggle with my drawing.
Yeah.
I can't produce the work I used to. Am I too old? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?
I think definitely lockdown has taken the best of us.
Yeah, I know. It shattered a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It shattered the art community. But
I'm not sure if it was... Yeah, there was a long period of, it was a downer. And I thought, well, I have to celebrate what I do have.
Yeah.
What I have produced in the last 10 years. So anyway, in that show, I had half of the show was old work, big, black and white, tonal, and the last 10 years of smaller linear work. So that was my last show, which was killed by the lockdown, but...
We will revamp it up. We'll bring it back.
Yes, I know.
We'll bring it back. We'll definitely bring it back because it was a very.
Is that
incredible...
a promise?
We'll do the best we can. And but yeah, it seems like you've had quite a journey. Very great, very incredible journey from just dancing to modeling to your artwork. And I was really happy when I got the invite to see your show as well. It was absolutely stunning. So
thank you for coming.
No, it's my pleasure. It's always important to support the local community, as especially during this time, we need to keep going with it.
Absolutely.
But it's absolutely amazing. So thank you. That was I was flattered to get that message to say that I was invited. I was like, oh, cool, that's really cool. I don't usually get an invite like that, but yeah, thank you.
Oh.
And I'm like, but yeah, no, that's amazing, and I'm really glad and very honoured that you shared your story about what's happened with you. I think that was so thank you for
I have more stories.
Definitely. We'll have to put it into another podcast episode.
Anytime. Yeah.
And that was so I want to first of all say a huge thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come onto the channel and talk about what you do. So thank you very much.
Oh, look, you're most welcome. I've just started watching your shows and I really enjoyed them, and I really wanted to be part of it and share the stories. What's better than that?
Thank you. No, I'm so glad that it was my honour to have you on here, and we'll definitely have to have another session where we talk more about it. Absolutely, do a part 2 to it. That sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so for everyone watching at home, thank you so much for watching another episode of The Creative Process. If you want to check out Nina's work, I will leave links to all of her amazing work. Please go and check her out. Go and support her. Do you have prints available that people can purchase and all that? Do you have
okay,
artwork that
I usually have sold some prints. It's not something I do, but it can be done. If some work that I never actually enjoyed selling my work, but then I've learned the process of printing. So it can be printed.
So people can contact you to ask about.
Absolutely. I have no website though.
Oh, good. I'll make sure to leave your Instagram account and all that, so people can check out some stuff.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
let's share the love of art.
Absolutely. Yeah. And let's support the local community, guys. As I said. In so many videos, once the conversation stops, it ends there. But yeah, let's go and show some love to Nina. Just support her work. And so comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next episode.
This guy is a champ.
Thank you.
Hug.